Listen closely. The world has whispered a lie into your ear since the day you were born. That lie says, if you want more, you must work harder. If you want wealth, you must grind, sweat, and suffer. But truth is not found in struggle. Truth is found in alignment. Wealth is not a wage for labor. It is the echo of your belief. Money is not earned by the clock. It flows by law, and the law says this: the one who aligns with abundance will draw abundance, no matter how many hours they work. Consider the river. It does not push, it does not strain, yet it carves valleys, nourishes fields, and finds its way to the sea. It flows because it follows the path of least resistance. So it is with wealth. It flows to the one who removes doubt, fear, and unworthiness from the heart. Stop asking, how can I work more? And begin asking, how can I create more value? How can I imagine more boldly? How can I align with the divine source of supply? For the wealth of the world is not locked in vaults. It is waiting in the realm of ideas, ready to be claimed by the one who believes. You do not need more hours. You need more vision. You do not need more sweat. You need more faith. A single inspired idea can do what a lifetime of labor cannot. A single moment of faith can multiply where years of doubt have divided. Your imagination is the wealth factory. Within you is the blueprint for increase, the invention, the song, the business, the solution. When you dare to act as if it is already yours, life begins to rearrange itself to deliver it to you. Gratitude is your magnet. Every word of thanks lifts you into the frequency of increase. Speak words of abundance. Live as though the promise is already fulfilled, and you will see doors open where walls once stood. The call today is not to hustle harder, but to align deeper. Live not as a laborer chasing coins, but as a creator attracting wealth. Wealth is your birthright. Increase is your inheritance, and when you believe it, prepare for it, and act on it, you will earn more, not because you worked harder, but because you finally understood that the universe pays in proportion to your faith, not your fatigue. So lift your head, speak the word, imagine the greater life, and let wealth flow, not by the sweat of your brow, but by the certainty of your spirit. From the beginning, humanity has been conditioned to believe that effort and reward are inseparable twins, that only through endless toil can prosperity be born. This belief has chained millions to a cycle of overwork, fatigue, and disappointment. They rise with the sun, labor until the night, and yet their wallets remain empty. Their spirits remain weary. Why? Because they confuse labor with increase, hours with harvest, and effort with reward. The truth is simpler, deeper, and far more liberating. Wealth does not flow from the grind of exhausted hands. It flows from the clarity of thought, the alignment of spirit, and the certainty of belief. Life is governed by divine law, and law is impartial. It does not measure your worth by how many hours you clock or how much you strain. It measures the vibration you carry, the expectation you hold, and the words you speak. The farmer does not receive a harvest because he stayed awake all night staring at the soil. He receives it because he planted a seed in faith, nurtured it with expectancy, and allowed the unseen laws of growth to do their work. The same is true of money, success, and reward. It is not your effort that commands wealth. It is your faith that unlocks it. This is not to say that action is unnecessary. Action is vital, but it must be the right action, born from inspiration, not desperation. Many people work tirelessly at jobs that do not align with their gifts, forcing themselves into labors that feel like prisons. They give their sweat, yet receive little increase because their effort is misaligned. Meanwhile, others who seem to labor lightly, who appear to glide through life with ease, attract opportunities and wealth without the strain. The difference is not luck, it is alignment. They understand the truth. Effort is not the key, alignment is. When you align with the law of prosperity, your smallest action produces multiplied results. One inspired idea can earn in a day what years of exhaustion never could. A single connection, a word spoken at the right moment, a step taken in faith can open doors that effort alone could never push open. The mind trained in lack believes that harder work is the answer. But the awakened mind knows that reward flows through channels of faith, creativity, and imagination. It is not about how much you can push. It is about how clearly you can see and how boldly you can believe. The world has celebrated the grind for too long. People wear exhaustion like a badge of honor, as if being tired proves their worth. Yet there is no virtue in depletion. There is no holiness in burnout. The divine never demanded struggle as the price of abundance. The truth is that the universe is abundant beyond measure, and it responds not to the sweat of your brow, but to the clarity of your vision. You can spend 10 years striving with no result, or 1 year aligned with faith and imagination, and watch increase flow toward you. Look at the great innovators, the thinkers, the leaders who shifted history. Their reward did not come from endless toil, but from vision, belief, and courage to act differently. Thomas Edison once said he had not failed, but found 10,000 ways that didn't work. It was not his exhaustion that brought light to the world. It was his belief that a solution existed. Great wealth, great discoveries, great creations are all birthed not from harder effort, but from unwavering faith that abundance and answers already exist. The truth about effort and reward is this: effort without faith is wasted, but faith with inspired effort multiplies. 1 drop of faith can accomplish more than an ocean of doubt-driven labor. You are not rewarded for suffering. You are rewarded for aligning with divine law. The effort you must give is the effort to believe, the discipline to train your words, your thoughts, and your imagination to align with prosperity. That is the real labor, the labor of faith. Begin to see your life as already prosperous. Speak increase over every circumstance. Imagine doors opening, opportunities multiplying, wealth flowing freely to you. Act as if it is already secured, and you will see how quickly circumstances shift. The man who works hardest without belief may remain empty-handed, but the one who believes, gives thanks, and acts from faith will find himself rewarded beyond measure. Do not mistake exhaustion for virtue. Do not confuse struggle with progress. The truth about effort and reward is that reward is not tied to sweat but to spirit. The divine law of prosperity responds to certainty, gratitude, and expectation. When you understand this, you no longer live like a slave to hours. You live as a master of faith, and reward flows accordingly. When you stop chasing wealth through strain and begin attracting it through alignment, you discover the freedom you were created for. Life ceases to feel like a battle and begins to feel like a flow. The rewards come not because you worked yourself weary, but because you dared to believe that abundance is your birthright. And in that belief, the universe itself rises to meet you with more than you ever imagined possible. The world has taught us to worship struggle. From a young age, we are told that the harder we fight, the more we grind, the more we sacrifice, the greater our rewards will be. Struggle has been glorified as the path to success. People boast about sleepless nights, endless hours, and the burden of stress, as if suffering itself guarantees victory. But life does not bend to suffering. Life bends to alignment. The power is not in the fight, but in the flow. What multiplies your results is not how much you can endure, but how fully you can align with the laws of prosperity and the rhythm of divine order. Struggle is resistance. It is the energy of pushing against the current, fighting the flow of life, exhausting yourself in a battle that was never meant to be fought. Alignment is the opposite. Alignment is stepping into the river and letting the current carry you. It is the recognition that when your thoughts, your words, and your actions are aligned with abundance, doors open without force. Alignment does not drain you, it replenishes you. Struggle leaves you weary. Alignment fills you with energy. Think of a key and a lock. You can pound on the door with all your strength. You can bruise your hands and exhaust your body, and the door will not open. That is struggle. But when you find the right key and slide it into place, the door opens effortlessly. That is alignment. The power of alignment over struggle is the understanding that effort without alignment is wasted, but effort with alignment becomes unstoppable. When you align with prosperity, you stop chasing and start attracting. Struggle chases. Struggle says, if I just push a little harder, maybe it will work. Alignment says, I know that what is mine will come to me. I am in harmony with increase, and therefore increase must appear. Struggle tries to make things happen by force. Alignment allows things to happen by law, and law is stronger than any force you could apply with your bare hands. This is why two people can be working side by side, giving equal hours, but their results are worlds apart. One struggles in doubt, fear, and anxiety, wondering if their labor will ever pay off. The other is aligned with faith, gratitude, and expectancy, and their efforts multiply effortlessly. The difference is not intelligence, not strength, not opportunity. The difference is alignment. One is pushing against the grain, the other is flowing with it. You do not need to fight for what already belongs to you. You do not need to struggle for what is your birthright. Prosperity is not earned through torment. It is accessed through alignment. The moment you align your words with gratitude, your mind with vision, and your actions with faith, you become magnetic. What you use to chase begins to chase you. What you use to struggle for begins to flow toward you. This is the law. The power of alignment is that it transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary results. When you speak with faith, when you act with expectancy, when you move as though the blessing is already yours, your smallest step is magnified. Struggle is heavy and draining. Alignment is light and multiplying. Struggle says, I must carry the whole burden. Alignment says, the universe carries this with me. Struggle relies on your own limited strength. Alignment taps into the unlimited supply of divine order. You have been conditioned to believe that nothing valuable comes without struggle. But the truth is the opposite. Struggle is proof that you are out of alignment. It is the warning sign that you are forcing instead of flowing. Look at nature. Trees do not struggle to grow. Rivers do not strain to run. The sun does not fight to rise. Everything in nature expands, produces, and flourishes through alignment with law. Only humans glorify struggle. Yet when a person returns to alignment, they find that prosperity flows as naturally as water downhill. To live in alignment is to trust. It is to know that you are not alone in the work, that a greater law is at play. It is to believe that when you release resistance, when you let go of doubt, when you stop forcing outcomes, the right opportunities, people, and resources arrive at the right time. Struggle tries to control everything. Alignment allows everything to unfold. And in that unfolding, you find a peace that struggle can never offer. The power of alignment over struggle is the power of faith over fear. Struggle is fueled by fear of lack, fear of failure, fear of being unworthy. Alignment is fueled by faith that supply is endless, faith that you are guided, faith that abundance is already on its way. One leaves you empty, the other leaves you overflowing. Struggle drains, alignment multiplies. So the choice is always before you. You can keep glorifying the grind, celebrating exhaustion, and calling it progress. Or you can release the struggle and step into alignment, where prosperity flows without resistance. The universe is abundant, life is rich, supply is endless. When you align with these truths, when you let your spirit rest in them, when you live as though they are already manifested, you will see the proof with your own eyes. And then you will know that struggle was never the path. Alignment was always the way. Money has long been misunderstood. People have chained themselves to the false idea that money is earned only by labor, that it comes only from the sweat of the brow and the grind of endless work. This is why so many remain trapped in exhaustion, working harder yet never experiencing the wealth they long for. But money is not labor, money is energy. It is a current, a vibration, a force that responds not to the hours you put in, but to the belief you carry, the frequency you align with, and the way you channel your thoughts and actions. To reduce money to labor alone is to strip it of its true nature. Labor is only one avenue through which energy flows, but money itself is spiritual before it is physical. Consider electricity. You cannot see it, yet it powers entire cities. It responds to alignment, to circuits, to laws that govern its flow. If you wire a house incorrectly, the power will not flow, no matter how much you beg it to. In the same way, money responds to laws of energy and alignment. When your inner circuit is wired with doubt, fear, and lack, the current of money cannot flow. When it is wired with faith, gratitude, and expectancy, prosperity begins to move through your life with ease. It is not the hours worked that determine wealth, but the energy you carry and the channels you open. This is why some people labor endlessly yet never prosper, while others seem to attract wealth effortlessly. The difference is not in the amount of work performed, but in the vibration they hold. Money gravitates toward those who treat it as energy, who honor its flow, who welcome it with gratitude and expectation. To those who see it as only labor, it remains elusive because they are attempting to grasp energy with physical force instead of spiritual alignment. Money is a mirror of your inner world. If you believe it is scarce, it will show up scarce. If you believe it is abundant, it will show up abundant. The one who sees money as energy understands that every thought, every word, every feeling is an investment. Doubt is a withdrawal, fear is a debt, gratitude is a deposit, faith is compound interest. You are either aligning yourself with increase or pushing prosperity away, not by what you do with your hands, but by what you do with your heart and mind. The person who sees money only as labor becomes a prisoner of time. Their wealth is capped by the number of hours they can physically work. But when you see money as energy, you step into multiplication. An idea born in your imagination can make money for you long after you've stopped thinking about it. A system set in motion can generate wealth while you sleep. An investment aligned with faith and wisdom can multiply far beyond the labor you put in. When money is energy, the limits fall away because energy is infinite. Labor has its place, but it must be infused with the right energy. Two people may work the same job, yet one prospers and the other struggles. Why? Because one works with joy, gratitude, and expectation, while the other works with resentment, fear, and doubt. Energy colors every action. The vibration you carry while you labor determines what returns to you. Money is never just the paycheck, it is the reflection of the energy behind your work. If you desire more wealth, you must first shift your energy. Speak words of abundance instead of lack. Imagine money flowing toward you as naturally as air fills your lungs. Release the fear that says money is hard to earn, and embrace the truth that it is energy responding to your faith. Money is not your master, it is your servant. It is not something to chase, but something to magnetize through alignment. Energy flows where attention goes. When you constantly focus on not having enough, you amplify lack. When you dwell on increase, on possibility, on gratitude for what already exists, you expand prosperity. Money listens to the tone of your spirit. If your tone is desperate, fearful, or bitter, it repels. If your tone is thankful, bold, and expectant, it is drawn to you. Wealth is not about piling up hours, it is about channeling energy. This is why imagination is more valuable than struggle. One inspired idea, energized with faith, can move mountains and attract resources you never thought possible. History is filled with examples of those who created great fortunes not by laboring endlessly, but by channeling energy through vision, belief, and inspired action. Money is energy, and energy seeks flow. When you hoard it in fear, it stagnates. When you release it with gratitude, it returns multiplied. Giving is proof of faith, and faith always multiplies prosperity. Those who understand money as energy give freely, knowing that circulation brings increase. Those who cling to it in fear cut off the flow, and what they cling to eventually slips away. The shift begins in the mind. See money not as something you must struggle for, but as energy waiting to flow toward you. Live in expectancy, speak with authority, take inspired actions, not frantic ones. Align your thoughts with abundance, your words with gratitude, your actions with faith, and you will see the flow of money begin to change. Labor alone will never set you free, but energy aligned with divine law will always provide. Money is not limited, it is abundant, it is not cruel, it is obedient, it is not earned by sweat alone, but drawn by alignment. When you understand this truth, you stop struggling and start receiving. You no longer live like a slave to labor, but as a master of energy. And from that place, wealth flows, not because you fought for it, but because you finally aligned with the energy that governs it. The universe moves by law, and one of its greatest truths is the law of least resistance. It is written in the flow of rivers, the growth of trees, the path of the wind. Water does not argue with the mountain, it curves gracefully around it. The tree does not force itself to grow in stone, it reaches for the soil that nourishes it. The wind does not strain against barriers, it finds the open spaces and flows through them. Nature has always known that life expands most powerfully when it follows the path of least resistance. Yet humanity has been trained to believe the opposite, that only through constant struggle, force, and resistance can progress be made. That is why so many are weary, endlessly pushing, endlessly fighting, while abundance seems far away. The truth is that the struggle itself is often the barrier. Resistance creates more resistance. When you battle against life, life mirrors that battle back to you. The harder you push, the harder it seems to push against you. But when you release the struggle and step into alignment, you discover that progress happens with ease. This is not passivity, it is not laziness, it is wisdom. It is the recognition that there is already a flow, already a current, already a divine order guiding your steps, and when you align with it, doors open without strain. Consider the difference between rowing against the current and flowing with it. Two people may be in the same river, but one is exhausted, straining, making little progress, while the other glides with ease, covering greater distance in less time. The difference is not strength, but direction. One fights the current, the other cooperates with it. The law of least resistance is the call to stop fighting what does not serve you and begin moving with what is already carrying you toward abundance. This is why opportunities often appear when you stop forcing them. When you release the need to control every detail, when you stop insisting that life must unfold on your rigid terms, you allow space for the flow of divine order. Resistance is born of fear, fear that you are not enough, fear that supply will not come, fear that if you loosen your grip, everything will collapse. But faith dissolves resistance. Faith says, I am supported, I am guided, and what is mine will come to me. Faith lets the current carry you. Many live their lives in resistance without even knowing it. They resist through worry, through doubt, through constant complaints about what is missing. Every thought of lack is resistance. Every word of fear is resistance. Every action born out of desperation builds a wall against the very thing they desire. The more they resist, the more stagnant their life becomes. But when they shift to faith, when they surrender the need to struggle, the walls fall away and the flow begins again. The law of least resistance does not mean sitting idle. It means taking inspired action instead of forced action. Forced action feels heavy, like pushing a boulder uphill. Inspired action feels light, energized, supported, as though the universe itself is helping you. The results of inspired action are multiplied, while the results of forced action are minimal. You have experienced this before, times when one small step produced great results, and other times when endless effort produced nothing. The difference was resistance. One was aligned with flow, the other was blocked by fear. Look at the people who prosper with ease. They are not always the strongest, nor the most intelligent, but they carry a spirit of alignment. They speak words of faith, they imagine with expectancy, they move in harmony with opportunities instead of forcing closed doors to open. Their wealth comes not from exhausting themselves, but from knowing how to flow with life. They live by the law of least resistance. To embody this law, you must release the belief that struggle is noble. There is no virtue in wearing yourself down. The universe does not reward suffering. It rewards faith, gratitude, and openness. The moment you let go of the belief that you must fight for every blessing, you begin to see how much life was waiting to give you all along. When you stop resisting, things start happening quickly. Ideas appear, connections form, opportunities arrive, resources gather. What seemed impossible under struggle becomes effortless under alignment. Energy moves where it is welcomed, money flows where it is not resisted, love enters where it is not blocked by fear, health returns where it is not hindered by doubt. The law of least resistance is not about doing nothing. It is about removing the inner blocks that choke the flow of life. The moment you stop resisting, life begins to restore itself. You realize that prosperity was not withheld, it was only waiting for you to open the channel. This is why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude dissolves resistance. When you give thanks for what you have, you stop pushing against life and start flowing with it. You stop focusing on lack and start aligning with abundance. Gratitude opens the current, faith keeps it moving. Together, they create a flow so strong that no obstacle can stand against it. The law of least resistance is the law of surrender, not to defeat, but to divine order. It is the choice to believe that life supports you, that the universe is abundant, that increase is your birthright. It is the wisdom of the river, the patience of the seed, the certainty of the sun. When you live by this law, you discover that what you used to chase begins to chase you. The wealth you sought, the opportunities you forced, the blessings you resisted, now flow into your life without struggle. You stop rowing against the current and start moving with the river of abundance, and it carries you further than your struggle ever could. Imagination is the secret factory where all wealth is born. Before any building rose from the earth, it first stood in someone's mind. Before any fortune was made, it first appeared as an idea. Every invention, every business, every piece of art, every stream of prosperity has its roots not in endless hours of toil, but in imagination. The world has deceived many into believing that wealth is only a product of labor, of working longer, of grinding harder. Yet the truth is that the mind is the true field of creation, and imagination is the soil where riches are planted. What you dare to see within will eventually shape what you hold in your hand. The poor in imagination are always poor in experience, for they can only repeat what they already know. They labor endlessly, trapped in cycles of sameness, never daring to conceive something greater. The rich in imagination, however, live in a different realm. They look beyond what is, into what could be, and in that vision they unlock streams of wealth unseen by others. The mind that imagines is never bound by current circumstances. It sees doors where others see walls, opportunities where others see lack, and solutions where others see problems. Imagination is the alchemy that turns nothing into something, lack into abundance, limitation into expansion. Think of the great innovators who transformed the world. They did not wait for wealth to appear in their bank accounts before they believed. They used the currency of imagination. Henry Ford imagined cars for the masses when others were satisfied with horses. The Wright brothers imagined flight when the world mocked the thought. Countless creators imagined solutions before anyone else could see them. Their wealth was not in their hands at first. It was in their minds. They built fortunes not from endless struggle, but from daring to imagine differently. Imagination is wealth because it multiplies. Your hours are limited, your physical energy is finite, but your imagination is infinite. It can conceive new ways to create, new ways to serve, new ways to multiply income streams. One idea born in imagination can outproduce years of weary labor. A book written, a song composed, a business launched, a design invented, all are children of imagination, and each one has the power to multiply long after the initial work is done. Imagination breaks the limits of time because what it creates can continue producing wealth even when you sleep. But imagination does not thrive in fear. Fear is the thief of vision. Doubt shuts down the factory of wealth before the first spark can ignite. That is why so many live in cycles of lack. They do not allow themselves to imagine abundance. They rehearse scarcity in their minds until scarcity becomes their only reality. The law of life is this: what you rehearse in your imagination will eventually become your experience. If you imagine lack, you will live in lack. If you imagine abundance, you will live in abundance. To use imagination as the wealth factory, you must begin to see yourself already in possession of the good you desire. Close your eyes and picture your life not as it is, but as it can be. See yourself in the home you dream of, the work you love, the health you claim, the wealth that is already yours in the unseen. Do not treat it as fantasy, treat it as reality, for the mind does not distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is physically experienced. The more you imagine, the more your subconscious aligns your actions, your words, and your energy to bring it into being. Imagination requires courage. It demands that you step beyond the facts of today and claim the vision of tomorrow. Many are afraid to imagine because they fear disappointment, but the one who refuses to imagine has already chosen defeat, for they have closed the only door through which wealth can enter. To imagine is to plant. To refuse to imagine is to leave your field barren. The harvest of tomorrow depends on the vision you dare to hold today. Imagination is not idle daydreaming. It is creative force in action. When charged with faith and gratitude, it becomes a magnet for opportunities, people, and resources. Imagination without belief is like a seed left on a shelf. Imagination with faith is like a seed planted in fertile soil, watered daily, and destined to bear fruit. You must not only imagine, but believe. Believe that what you see within is already yours, and life will begin arranging circumstances to deliver it to you. The wealth you seek is not waiting to be earned through more exhaustion. It is waiting to be conceived in the quiet of your mind. The treasure house is within you. Every great fortune, every breakthrough, every flow of abundance is first drawn on the canvas of imagination before it is painted in the material world. Wealth is not created by accident. It is created by minds that dared to imagine more than what they saw. The invitation is simple. Dare to imagine boldly. Let your imagination paint in colors of abundance, not lack. Let it envision opportunities that stretch beyond your current means. Let it see yourself as prosperous, favored, and overflowing. Then align your words and actions with that vision, and you will see how imagination begins to transform into manifestation. Imagination is the wealth factory because it is limitless, because it is creative, and because it connects you with the divine flow of supply. When you honor it, cultivate it, and use it with faith, you will discover that the riches of your life are never limited to what you can touch now. They are as boundless as your vision, as infinite as your imagination, and as real as the faith you place in them. The world has taught most people to believe that the only way to earn more is to give more hours, to stretch themselves thinner, to sacrifice rest, family, and even health in the pursuit of money. This mindset has enslaved millions into the belief that time itself is the currency of wealth. But time is limited, and when you trade hours for dollars, your earning power is forever capped. The truth is that prosperity is not about creating more time. It is about creating more value. Value is the multiplier, the great unlocker of wealth. When you learn to create value, you break free from the prison of limited hours and step into the realm of limitless expansion. Consider the one who works long hours in exhaustion yet remains stuck in scarcity. They labor faithfully, but because their work produces little value beyond their physical presence, their reward is small. Then consider the one who, with fewer hours, provides an idea, a solution, or a creation that multiplies in the lives of others. Their value extends beyond their time, and so their wealth expands without limit. The difference is not effort alone, it is value. Hours can be consumed, but value can ripple endlessly. Think of the author who writes a book once, and that book continues to sell long after the ink has dried. Their value exists in the ideas captured on the page, not in the number of hours they sit at a desk. Or consider the entrepreneur who designs a system or creates a product that solves a problem for thousands. That system works day and night, multiplying income without demanding the creator's constant presence. These people have understood that value creation liberates them from time creation. Value is what people pay for. Time is simply a vessel. Two people may spend the same hour working, but the one who creates greater value in that hour will always be rewarded more. A single hour spent solving a problem for thousands is worth infinitely more than 10 hours spent performing a task anyone else could do. Wealth does not respond to sweat alone. It responds to value. And value is born of creativity, vision, and courage to step beyond repetition into contribution. When you shift your focus from time to value, your imagination becomes your greatest asset. Time creation asks, how can I squeeze more hours into my day? Value creation asks, how can I use my gifts, ideas, and resources to create something that multiplies beyond me? The one who creates value understands that wealth comes not from being busy, but from being effective. One bold move of value can do what years of endless busyness cannot. This is why many who work fewer hours still prosper more than those who grind endlessly. They have learned to detach their income from the limits of their time. They put their energy into building, creating, designing, or serving in ways that continue to pay even when they step away. They are not paid for the time they spend, but for the results they create. This is the difference between labor and leverage. Labor drains, leverage multiplies. Value is not only measured in money but in impact. The more lives you touch, the more problems you solve, the more solutions you bring, the greater your value becomes. Money is simply the echo of that value. If you want to expand your wealth, expand your value, ask yourself daily, how can I create something that outlives my hours? How can I leave behind a solution that continues to serve others even when I am not present? The answers to those questions unlock the doors to wealth. The trap of time creation is that no matter how hard you work, there will always be a ceiling. You cannot add more than 24 hours to your day, but you can add unlimited value to the world. A song can play in thousands of homes at once. A business can serve millions simultaneously. A piece of art can inspire generations. A single inspired idea can create ripple effects far beyond your lifetime. That is the difference between time and value. When you focus on value, you stop glorifying busyness and start honoring productivity. You no longer measure your worth by how exhausted you feel at the end of the day. Instead, you measure it by the impact you have created, by the solutions you have brought, by the lives you have touched. You become a creator, not just a worker. and creation is always rewarded more than repetition. Value creation requires faith because it demands that you see yourself as more than a laborer. It asks you to step into the role of innovator, builder, and contributor. Many shy away from this because it feels uncertain. They cling to the security of hourly wages, even if it means endless exhaustion, because it feels safe. But safety in time creation is an illusion. It leads to burnout without increase. Value creation may feel risky, but it holds the promise of unlimited expansion. The truth is that you were not designed to trade your life away for hours. You were designed to create, to build, to imagine, to multiply. Within you is a gift, a voice, an idea, a vision that can produce value far beyond what your time alone could generate. When you discover and release that gift, you enter into a realm where wealth no longer feels like a battle. It becomes the natural result of contribution. The key to prosperity is not to ask, how can I work harder, but to ask, how can I create more value? When you align with that question, opportunities appear, ideas flow, and doors open. You no longer feel chained to the clock because you know your wealth is not limited to your hours. It is tied to your ability to create, to give, to serve, and to solve. And when you step fully into that truth, you break free from the ceiling of time and walk into the limitless expanse of value. Wealth is never an accident, and neither is lack. Both are the results of systems. A system is simply a way of arranging energy, time, and resources so that what you create can repeat itself, grow itself, and multiply itself. Without systems, your effort remains trapped in the cycle of start and stop. With systems, your effort compounds into momentum that carries you forward, even when you are resting. The one who learns the power of systems steps out of endless hustle and into multiplication. Think of the farmer who plants a seed. He does not return every day to dig it up and replant it. He establishes a system, soil, sunlight, water, and lets that system do its work. The seed multiplies into a harvest, and from that harvest, more seeds are produced. That is multiplication. The farmer's role was not to force the seed to grow through sheer effort, but to create the conditions where multiplication became inevitable. This is how wealth must be approached. Without systems, your work stays as a single seed. With systems, your work becomes a field of harvests that feed not only you but generations to come. In the world of money, systems are the structures you put in place that allow value to multiply without requiring your constant attention. It could be an automated process in business, an investment strategy that compounds, a team that carries your vision forward, or intellectual property that continues to earn while you sleep. Each of these is a system that allows one act of creation to bear fruit repeatedly. The moment you build a system, you step out of trading hours for dollars and into the realm of multiplication. Multiplication is the divine law of increase. It says that one seed has the power to produce not just one more seed, but an entire orchard. One inspired idea can turn into streams of income. One piece of art can open doors to endless opportunities. One act of courage can spark a movement. Systems ensure that multiplication is not left to chance, but becomes intentional, repeatable, and sustainable. The wise do not just work hard, they design systems that multiply their efforts 100-fold. Consider the one who writes a book. Without a system, that message may reach a few people. But with publishing, distribution, and marketing systems, that book can reach millions worldwide, multiplying its impact and its return. Or think of the entrepreneur who designs a product. Without a system, they might sell a few by hand. With a system of production, distribution, and online sales, that same product can be sold to thousands at once. The system becomes the engine of multiplication. Many remain trapped in scarcity because they refuse to build systems. They cling to the comfort of doing everything themselves, believing that control guarantees success. But this mindset is a prison. The truth is, until you release tasks into systems, you will always be limited by your own capacity. Multiplication requires letting go of the belief that you must do it all and embracing the truth that systems do the heavy lifting better than you ever could alone. Systems are not cold machines, they are servants of vision. They free you to focus on creating, innovating, and imagining while they handle the repetition. A business without systems drains its owner into burnout. A life without systems is chaos disguised as effort. But with systems, effort becomes flow, and flow creates freedom. The one who has systems in place does not panic about every detail. They trust the process they have designed. That trust gives them the capacity to scale their impact, expand their influence, and multiply their wealth. Multiplication is not just about money, it is about legacy. When you create systems, you build something that outlives you. A system can continue long after you step away, blessing others, serving needs, and creating prosperity. This is why the greatest wealth builders are system builders. They do not chase after quick rewards. They invest their energy in building structures that multiply endlessly. That is how fortunes are built. That is how movements endure. That is how lives are transformed. Every person has the ability to step into this principle. You already create systems in your life unconsciously, habits, routines, and patterns. The question is whether those systems multiply scarcity or abundance. A system of fear multiplies missed opportunities. A system of procrastination multiplies delay. But a system of faith, discipline, and contribution multiplies wealth, joy, and freedom. You are always multiplying something. The key is to be intentional about what it is. The invitation is to stop asking, "How can I work harder?" and begin asking, "What system can I create that allows my work to multiply?" That single shift in perspective changes everything. You are not meant to live as a slave to endless hours. You are meant to build structures that work on your behalf, even when you rest. Systems are the scaffolding on which multiplication climbs. Without them, your vision remains small. With them, your vision expands beyond what you could ever achieve alone. The law of systems and multiplication is simple. Build wisely, release faithfully, and watch as what you create multiplies beyond your effort. Just as the seed multiplies in the field when placed in the right conditions, so too will your gifts multiply when placed in the right systems. This is not a mystery, it is a law. Honor it, and you will discover that wealth does not come from exhaustion, but from intelligent design. Build the system, trust the multiplication, and watch your life overflow with abundance. Faith is the unseen currency that opens the doors to wealth. Money is not the true beginning of prosperity. Faith is. Long before wealth appears in your hand, it must first exist in your heart as certainty. Without faith, no amount of effort can sustain abundance, for doubt collapses every structure you try to build. Faith is the invisible substance that draws the visible into your life. It is the assurance that what you seek already belongs to you, even when your circumstances seem barren. Wealth is not simply accumulated by work. It is magnetized by belief. Those who walk in faith carry themselves differently, speak differently, and move differently, and as a result, life bends to meet their conviction. The one who doubts cannot receive, because their energy repels the very good they long for. They beg for blessings but prepare for lack. They ask for wealth but imagine only bills. They desire increase but expect disappointment. Their outer world mirrors their inner unbelief. Faith, on the other hand, is the opposite of striving. It is a posture of knowing. It says, "It is already mine," and acts accordingly. Faith builds a table before the food arrives. Faith digs trenches before the rain falls. Faith prepares rooms before the guests are seen. It is this certainty that calls forth supply, because life responds to expectation. When you believe with conviction, you set in motion forces that align people, opportunities, and resources in your favor. Faith is not passive wishing, it is active knowing. It is the seed that guarantees harvest. Just as the farmer plants in the soil with confidence that the sun and rain will do their part, so too must you plant ideas, ventures, and dreams in faith that life will multiply them. Without faith, the farmer would never plant. Without planting, there would be no harvest. Faith is what moves you to act, even when no evidence is present, because faith sees beyond what the eyes can behold. Faith is wealth because it frees you from fear. Fear shrinks your vision, keeps you playing small, and convinces you to cling to scarcity. Fear is the voice that says, "What if it doesn't work?" Faith is the voice that says, "What if it does?" Fear sees risk, but faith sees opportunity. Fear counts losses before they occur, but faith counts gains before they arrive. The wealthy in faith step boldly into arenas that others avoid, and as a result, they reap what the fearful never dare to touch. Faith expands the territory of your life. Every great fortune, every breakthrough, every leap forward has been born in faith. The inventor must believe before others see. The entrepreneur must believe before others invest. The artist must believe before others applaud. Faith precedes recognition. Faith precedes reward. It is the bridge between imagination and manifestation. Those who wait for evidence before believing will wait forever, for evidence is always the fruit of faith, never the root. Faith dares to claim the treasure hidden in the unseen and brings it into visibility. Faith is not only belief in yourself, it is belief in the divine law of abundance, the unseen supply that cannot run dry. When you anchor your faith in this truth, you cease to panic about economic shifts, job losses, or changing markets. You know that your source is higher than circumstances. Wealth does not flow from a single employer, a single client, or a single stream. It flows from the infinite, and faith plugs you into that source. Faith says, even if one door closes, another will open. Faith says, I will always be provided for. This assurance magnetizes opportunities that others overlook because their fear has blinded them. Faith must be practiced. It grows like a muscle, strengthened each time you choose belief over doubt. Every moment of fear is an invitation to exercise faith. When a bill arrives, faith says, supply will meet this need. When a delay comes, faith says, the timing is perfect. When rejection appears, faith says, something greater is on the way. The one who lives in faith is never shaken, for they see beyond the surface. This inner stability is wealth in itself, for peace is a treasure that money cannot buy. Wealth flows most easily to those who act in faith because their energy carries authority. You can hear it in their voice, see it in their posture, feel it in their presence. They expect good, and good rushes to meet them. They know that they cannot be denied, for they already claim ownership within. To walk in faith is to walk as though your dreams are already reality. It is to stop rehearsing failure and start rehearsing success. Life mirrors the script you run in your mind, and faith ensures that the script is one of abundance. The poor in faith chase wealth but never catch it, for they believe lack more than they believe supply. The rich in faith rest in assurance, and wealth chases them. Faith is the substance that transforms invisible vision into tangible reality. It is the original currency, the one that predates every coin, every bill, every market. Long before wealth shows up in your account, it must be present in your spirit as certainty. To cultivate faith as the currency of wealth is to live each day knowing that your needs are already met, your desires are already unfolding, and your abundance is already assured. It is to walk boldly, speak boldly, and expect boldly. The more faith you carry, the more life delivers in alignment with that faith. Faith is the treasure chest within you, and when you unlock it, you find that wealth was never about striving harder, but about believing deeper. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces in the universe, yet it is often overlooked by those chasing wealth. People rush after money, opportunities, and recognition, believing that something external will finally make them whole, yet they fail to realize that the key to drawing abundance is already within them. Gratitude is not just polite manners or words of thanks. It is magnetic energy. It transforms your state, shifts your focus, and draws more into your life to be grateful for. Gratitude does not wait for conditions to be perfect. It creates the conditions. It turns what you have into more than enough and opens doors to blessings that effort alone cannot produce. A grateful heart multiplies whatever it touches. The one who lives in gratitude discovers that even the smallest seed becomes a harvest, while the ungrateful see only lack no matter how much they hold. Gratitude is a magnet because it aligns your energy with abundance. It is impossible to hold a vibration of lack and a vibration of gratitude at the same time. When you choose gratitude, you turn your attention from what is missing to what is present, and that focus multiplies. Whatever you water grows. If you water lack with complaint and discontent, lack expands. If you water abundance with gratitude, abundance expands. The wealthy in spirit know that gratitude is the foundation upon which all prosperity is built. They do not wait until they have millions in the bank to give thanks. They give thanks for every dollar, every opportunity, every open door. They understand that money flows where appreciation lives. When you bless what you have, you magnetize more. When you curse what you have, you repel increase. Gratitude is not simply a reaction, it is a cause. It is the invisible call that summons greater good into your life. Think of the difference between two people given the same opportunity. One complains that it is not enough, too small, beneath them. The other gives thanks for the chance and pours their energy into it with joy. The one who complained blocks future blessings, for life will not entrust more to a heart that despises little. The one who gave thanks multiplies their opportunity, for life recognizes that a grateful steward can handle more. Gratitude is the test and the key. Those who master it unlock more, while those who ignore it remain stuck in cycles of dissatisfaction. Gratitude shifts perspective. When you are grateful, you begin to see opportunities that were invisible before. The job others resent becomes your training ground. The small income others despise becomes your seed capital. The connections others overlook become your network. Gratitude sharpens your vision to see hidden wealth all around you. Without gratitude, you are blind to treasures sitting in plain sight. With gratitude, every moment becomes a stepping stone to greater prosperity. This magnetic quality of gratitude also reshapes the way people respond to you. A grateful spirit radiates warmth, trust, and joy. People are drawn to it because it feels expansive and life-giving. Business partners, friends, and strangers alike are eager to work with someone who carries the energy of appreciation. Gratitude attracts favor, and favor often opens doors faster than effort. Where resentment closes hearts, gratitude opens them. Where bitterness builds walls, gratitude builds bridges. Relationships, opportunities, and wealth all multiply in the presence of a grateful heart. Gratitude is also the antidote to fear. Fear whispers that you do not have enough, that you are not enough, that you will never get ahead. Gratitude answers by counting blessings and proving fear a liar. Each moment of thanksgiving silences the voice of scarcity and strengthens your trust in abundance. Fear cannot survive in a heart overflowing with gratitude. The two cannot share the same space. Gratitude raises your vibration, and at that higher frequency, wealth naturally flows to you. Living in gratitude is a discipline. It means choosing to bless the bill you are able to pay instead of resenting the expense. It means thanking life for lessons wrapped in difficulty instead of only celebrating ease. It means waking up each morning and naming what is good, no matter how small. Over time, this practice rewires your mind to see abundance everywhere. Gratitude becomes not just an occasional reaction, but a constant state of being. And when gratitude becomes your state, wealth becomes your reality. The irony is that those who withhold gratitude, waiting until they have more, never reach that place. Their focus on lack blocks abundance, but those who are grateful for little are entrusted with much. The energy of gratitude opens the flow. It is the law of circulation. What you bless blesses you back. What you appreciate appreciates in value. Life is always listening, always responding, and gratitude is the language that invites increase. To make gratitude your magnet, you must practice it not just when life is generous, but especially when life feels lean. Thankfulness in seasons of plenty is easy, but thankfulness in seasons of challenge is powerful. It is in those moments that gratitude demonstrates its magnetic force most clearly. When you can be grateful despite appearances, you prove your trust in unseen supply. That faith, combined with gratitude, becomes irresistible to the universe. It commands increase, and increase comes. Gratitude is the key that transforms effort into ease, lack into abundance, and ordinary days into extraordinary blessings. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes, until you find yourself living in a constant state of thanksgiving. From that state, wealth, opportunities, and miracles are drawn to you without strain. Gratitude is not just a virtue, it is a magnet. Use it, and you will discover that life always gives more to the one who gives thanks. To live as if it's already yours is to step into the greatest secret of manifestation, for life responds not to desperation, but to certainty. Most people live waiting until the money comes before they feel rich, waiting until the opportunity arrives before they act prepared, waiting until the door opens before they walk with confidence. But waiting is a form of lack, and lack only multiplies itself. The ones who manifest abundance are those who dare to live as if their desire is already fulfilled. They carry themselves differently, think differently, and speak differently, and because of that, life mirrors back to them the reality they have already claimed in spirit. Living as if it's already yours does not mean pretending or forcing. It means aligning your energy, your words, and your actions with the reality you desire before you see evidence of it. If you want prosperity, you must embody prosperity in your mindset and choices right now. If you want love, you must embody love in the way you treat yourself and others today. If you want freedom, you must begin to act from a place of freedom instead of bondage. This principle is not about fantasy, but about faith. It is not about pretending to be what you are not, but about remembering who you truly are and bringing that truth forward before it manifests materially. The law of life is reflection. The outer world is simply a mirror of the inner world. If inside you are rehearsing lack, insecurity, and fear, the mirror will show you circumstances that match. But if inside you are rehearsing wealth, confidence, and certainty, the mirror cannot help but return those images to you. Living as if it's already yours is rehearsing your desired reality until it becomes your only truth. The more vividly you live it inwardly, the faster it takes form outwardly. This is why the wealthy in spirit do not shrink back even when circumstances seem small. They do not allow temporary appearances to define them. They walk into a room as though they belong there, because in their hearts they already do. They invest, they speak, they move with the assurance that the world is their ally. Their energy announces abundance before their bank account does, and that energy draws opportunities that match it. Life does not reward hesitation, it rewards conviction. When you live as if it's already yours, you send a signal that you are ready, and readiness always attracts provision. Consider the actor who prepares for a role before stepping on stage. They rehearse as if the audience is already present, embodying the character fully. By the time the curtain rises, they are not pretending, they have become. The same is true with life. When you live as if, you are rehearsing your future self until you merge with it completely. That is how the unseen becomes seen. This principle also requires gratitude and discipline. Gratitude keeps your heart aligned with what you are calling in, and discipline keeps your actions consistent with your vision. If you desire wealth, you do not wait until millions arrive to treat your resources with respect. You steward what you have today as though you are already entrusted with greater amounts. If you desire success, You do not wait until you are recognized to work with excellence. You bring excellence into every small task, knowing that it prepares you for bigger opportunities. Living as if is not about arrogance. It is about alignment. The danger many fall into is living as if lack is already theirs. They speak words of defeat. They carry themselves with resignation. They imagine failure so often that it becomes their reality. They are already living in alignment, but with the wrong vision. Life, ever faithful to mirror, reflects it back. To shift into abundance, you must deliberately choose to live in the reality you desire, not the one you fear. You must claim the victory, embody the wealth, and walk in the freedom long before it shows up in your hand. Living as if it's already yours is also about action. Faith without action is stagnant. When you believe something belongs to you, you prepare for it. If you believe wealth is yours, you begin setting systems in place to manage it. If you believe opportunities are yours, you begin preparing skills and sharpening your readiness. You do not wait until the door opens to prepare. You prepare now because you know the door will open. Preparation is the highest form of faith. Living in this way creates an undeniable shift in your vibration. People sense it, circumstances bend to it, opportunities gravitate toward it. It is as though the universe itself conspires to prove you right when you carry yourself with certainty. Where others beg, you attract. Where others chase, you draw in. Where others live in constant striving, you move in flow. This is the difference between hoping for abundance and embodying it. Hope waits. Faith acts. Living as if is faith in motion. The invitation is simple yet profound. Stop waiting to feel abundant until you see the evidence. Begin to embody it now. Walk as though doors are already opening. Speak as though wealth is already flowing. Move as though success is already inevitable. Life will not withhold from the one who lives in full expectation. The mirror must reflect what you place before it, and when you place before it a spirit of abundance, certainty, and faith, it cannot help but give that reality back to you. When you live as if it's already yours, you shift from longing into possession. You stop asking, "Will it come?" and start declaring, "It is here." That shift in consciousness is the birthplace of miracles. It is the bridge between desire and fulfillment, the secret of the great creators, the posture of those who move mountains. Living as if is not fantasy. It is the highest form of truth, for it calls into the present what is already waiting in the unseen. When you embody it, life responds. When you live it, wealth manifests.